One big question is Brock Purdy, do you see areas where he's a better player this year?
Yeah, I think he's a better player all around for the most part. But I think that time to throw stat's very misleading because it's, somebody just got past Colton McKivitz and Dominic Pooney again, so I got to do a magical escape and buy myself an extra second. So he's running around more and he's scrambling more because it's out of necessity. But he's well aware of it. After the Super Bowl, we were saying, what do you want to work on this offseason? One of his aspects was mobility. And to me, that meant, not like he was going to do the zone read, but it was, I need to be using my legs and escaping and being able to buy time. You know what I mean? So, and he's bought that time through 4 weeks. So I think that's, boom, there's one aspect that he's gotten better. The completion percentage last game was his second worst as a starter, but he was also taking some shots downfield. And as that game kind of was deteriorating in the second half, just didn't seem like there were any like pressure throws that he had to like nail on the money. But watching him scramble and run, I mean, he's done that ever since he got in. Remember, was it the first start against Tampa Bay? He went diving to the sideline and landed the football on his ribs, and he hurt his ribs. So he went into Seattle. We weren't sure whether he was going to play. And then you saw in the NFC Championship game against Detroit, he scrambled for that like really critical third down conversion into the red zone. And so, last game, it's like, hey, he's doing that again. It's not a new concept, but he just kind of seems to grasp, well, the defense is playing back, so I got all this room and I'm going to go. And it's just like, cool, do that. Just make sure you don't put yourself in harm's way and know how to slide or get out of bounds. And you don't have to always go Superman, diving head first and putting those ribs at risk once again.
I've come to believe, and I said this it hit me on Sunday watching him, that part of the reason he's an effective runner is because he doesn't leave the pocket early. As someone who watches a lot of college football, it's an epidemic. Quarterback, and it's hard. Like, I don't blame guys. It's scary in there. But because he doesn't leave early, now guys are in scramble drill. Receivers are running down the field. Yeah. He leaves to space. He doesn't leave to leave. He leaves to the space.
Yeah.
And so often you see him break the pocket, Cam, and it's clear, like, there's 7 yards just right there on a platter for him. But I think it's because he's patient that it happens.
Well, and this is something Steve Young forever has talked about, where he had to learn to be a pocket passer and not just take off running. And you see that's expedited with Brock, I think, already, where it's like, yeah, I can run, but I'm not the fastest person, so I'm not going to be. He's like, I'm not Lamar Jackson, and that's kind of the best thing about Brock is his self-awareness. Is he knows what he can do and what he doesn't need to do. So that's always been an effect with the supporting cast. And now I think without McCaffrey, this has really changed their offense.
I want to take a moment to tell you this video is sponsored by Prize Picks. Right now, go down into the description, click on the link. You go to Prize Picks on your phone, the app. You go to prizepicks.com, you use the code GUY. You make a $5 lineup, and then you get $50 into your account immediately. Boom. Bonus. Prize Picks. Prize Picks is so easy. It's so fun. If you watch this show or listen, you know that I play Prize Picks several days out of the week. I love it. Thursday Night Football, Sunday, Saturday, Monday. Non-football, you could play Prize Picks. A lineup is just 2 players, minimum. You can go up to 7. And you just pick more or less. So Brock Purdy, more passing yards. Deebo Samuel, more touchdowns. I love it. You will too. Use the code GUY, GUY. Make a $5 lineup. Once you set that lineup, you don't have to win it. It's $50 guaranteed bonus right into your account with code GUY at Prize Picks.
Because it's how the defense is playing them. And you don't have to have that threat of McCaffrey catching the ball on third downs. Mason's made a couple nice catches here the last couple of weeks, but the lack of McCaffrey it's because we always thought McCaffrey and Deebo were interchangeable, and like Deebo was the pre-McCaffrey for this offense. Well, McCaffrey's not around. I don't see Deebo doing that. It's like, yeah, they started him at running back on Sunday, which was okay. All right, here we go. But he only had 2 carries. So, and the first carry was like 8 yards, and it was really well blocked, like 2 double tight end blocks he was following. But Deebo as a running back is not like the 2021 wide back Deebo. So, like, defenses are kind of attuned to that. And I just think Kyle Shanahan, I have a hard time, like, criticizing play calls because I don't exactly know X's and O's. Well, I don't know any X's and O's, but I know that it just hasn't seemed as creative as it did his first few years. And when you don't have McCaffrey, it's like, are we just doing nuts and bolts here? Just, pitch left, follow Trent Williams, okay, here, we're going to run a delayed draw up the middle. And at the same time, it's like, you don't need to show that against New England Patriots. You're going to blast them. So you got 2 divisional games here, Arizona and Seattle. And so you also have to watch out, make sure this isn't a trap game. They're looking ahead to the short turnaround of going up to Seattle.
Do you think he's relying on his quarterback more than he has before? Could that be an explanation?
I think he trusts his quarterback more than he's ever trusted a quarterback. Maybe, like, I guess you could go back to Matt Ryan. I had Jerry McDonald, my great colleague, look up that we were driving into the Levi's last week, and I said, Brock's been the quarterback. This is like his 25th start or something like that. And I go, where does that rank among Shanahan quarterbacks? Because there was a time where he's kind of gone through them pretty fast, And Garoppolo is still in the lead by, I think Garoppolo, I'm going to guess around 48, something like that.
Yeah, I think he could pass Jimmy next year.
Yeah, so it's on that track, but he trusts Brock way more than he trusts Jimmy. And because I think Brock's a much better quarterback in terms of his ability to read a defense and make the right throws wherever he needs to, and get out of the pocket to avoid injury, which Jimmy just had a knack for getting hurt. And but at the same time, I think Jimmy had a pretty good leadership ability on the field where everybody liked him and gravitated towards, hey, let's all have fun and go out and win a football game, where Brock seems like a lot more demanding of, like, yeah, I'm cool and I'll take the heat for you guys, but you better frickin' do what you need to be in the right place, because I know this offense, I have it down pat, so you better also.
I think he probably spends, you would know better, more time. He's young. Now, I mean, Jimmy was young and came from a place that was very demanding too, coming from New England.
Yeah.
But, everyone always kind of joked, haha, Jimmy doesn't reply to texts, where, here's Brock. Finally, Kyle it's been years. I don't think it happened. I don't think it has happened, right? Where Kyle has had a full off season with a healthy returning starter.
Yeah, we said something like that. Well, I mean, he did in 18 because Jimmy was the starter going from 17 to 18.
Yeah, that's right. So that was the last time.
But at the same time, they gave him that money. And if you'll read in Mike Silver's new book, I believe he said that Jimmy kind of ghosted everybody after he signed. It was like, where'd our guy go? And but that was Jimmy. And Brock's the opposite. Brock's around. He's very engaged with teammates. The thing I like about Brock also is he really is a pretty good communicator, where it's like, it's a two-way communication. He'll ask questions back and forth, like just walking by him or informally by the locker. It's like you can have a conversation with them. It's just, he's not like on guard and afraid you're going to quote him about something, or he'll just ask like curious questions. He's always a very curious guy. And when he first got to the Niners and he was sitting at his locker, he'd study plays all the time before he go to practice. And I love guys like that. It's like, they're not putting on a show for the media. They're just using every minute they can to go over and get prepared. Fred Warner was like that his first 2 years on the Niners. Would always sit at his locker and go over things. So it's like, it's those things I really watch to see which guys take their job super seriously so that they can perform great at it.
Yeah. I'm reading some of Brock from your book and what he said when he arrived, his introductory press conference. Like, you guys asked him, what makes him, what his best assets are. And maybe the craftiness I play with extending plays. I always have the mentality that I can make something out of nothing when a play breaks down. I think a lot of quarterbacks come into the league feeling that way and then get disabused of that belief pretty quickly. Right.
He said it in such a calm and self-confident, not like braggadocious way, but just when he walked out of that, because this was I don't think like big cameras were on. We were in the local media room, which is people that don't know, there's a media bunker in Levi Stadium that is windowless. It's full of painted cement blocks, and there's no real life to it. And Brock came in and he just kind of had an easygoing conversation for about 5-10 minutes. And he walked out of the room, and I remember walking by guys going, dang it, I really like that guy. He's got something to him, but we just never going to see him because Trey Lance is here and Jimmy's here. But that was kind of fun. Hopefully he's a good kid. And it's like, now look at him. He's the same guy.
Is this all right? I'll finish with this since you have such a great historical perspective on the book. If Brock Purdy turns into the franchise quarterback, I mean,
He is the franchise.
you know what I'm saying? Like if he's that guy for the next 8 to 10 years, right? If it continues the way it's trending.
Sure.
I mean, that's on the Mount Rushmore of the luckiest things that have ever happened to this franchise.
Yeah. Yeah. It's up there with Dwight Clark being in the right spot at the right time up in the air to catch a ball.
After being a 10th round pick.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they had needed a lot of luck for that Dwight Clark for the catch, right?
And you need there's so much that goes like when they were like winning, honestly, it was either 2019 or 2012. Maybe it was 2019 because they started off hot with like 8-0, right? And it seemed like every week that they were getting ready to play somebody, the opponent would lose its star player the week before. And it's like, that's convenient. The Warriors kind of the same thing in the playoffs, like when they won their last NBA championship a few years. Like when one of the stars of the opposing team would be coming in, they like got hurt the week before, or the series before. So I think there's a lot of luck that goes into it, and getting Brock Purdy in the 7th round was tremendous luck. But you get him, and then it's a matter of coaching him up and providing the right structure around him. So that's not luck. That is. And I ripped on this today in my mailbag. Somebody was talking about the culture of the Niners. And I go, culture is such a lazy word that people throw around in sports because they want to pretend that just kind of covers everything. But the true culture of a team is like, who are the leaders and what's the accountability aspect and what's the talent aspect? There's so many things that go into it. You can have great culture on a crappy team, but you can have bad talent. So I think that Brock is trending obviously towards superstardom, but he's going to have to win a Super Bowl in the next couple of years. Same with Shanahan, because Shanahan's in year 8. Guy, I don't know, how many years does he have left if he doesn't win a Super Bowl?
Well, does he keep going to NFC Championship games? Because if he does, he's got a long time.
Right, and I think the Yorks understand that. The ownership understands that, and I think I talked to Jed about this a couple of years ago. John Madden, when he was coaching the Raiders, would get to the cusp, but he didn't break through, I think, until year 7 or 8 of coaching the Raiders. And there were a lot of near misses, but you knew you had a great coach there because you had a contender every year. And right now they do. I don't buy that this is what did Debo say, that it's now or never? I mean, we love to do this. It's Super Bowl or bust. Yeah. Because it really is. There's that I think just emphasizes the urgency to win now. But when you have a young quarterback, it's not now or never. They're going to be contenders for years, as long as these big contracts don't backfire with injuries. Like that, you'll have guys. You're investing in guys to play well. They will, because you've seen that talent and you have the culture to keep them in line, and not just all of a sudden low fit. So